So, welcome to Girl Boss Chats with Charlotte Guernsey. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about the process of purchasing an Icelandic horse and bringing them back into the United States. I have a very special guest with me today, Sigrun. I'm not even going to attempt pronouncing your last name, so can you help me out here?
Yeah, Brynjarsdottir.
Okay, all right, that's a big one. Icelandic, obviously. So
Yeah.
Sigrun is a world champion rider. She won the world championship in 1999. How old were you then?
Now I gotta think. 26, maybe?
Yes, very impressive. And that was in Germany.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And you qualified and competed in Lansmont starting at the age of 12.
Yeah.
Is
So
that right?
I started my competition career at 12, and the first competition I ever did was tryout for Landsmot.
That
And
is impressive.
I made it. There were 3 kids that were picked for our club, and yeah, it was a luck that I made it that time. My horse did it for me, I tell you that.
That's amazing. Quite an accomplishment. So just so people know what Lansmont is in the Icelandic world, it's yeah, go ahead.
So it is one of the biggest competitions for Icelandic horses in the world. We have the Mecca of Icelandic horses in Iceland, obviously, and Landsmot is the best of every club. So Iceland is divided into clubs. So each district has a club, and that district can send horses for that club, depending on how many people live in or how many people are in that club. And then we have breeding horses too. And breeding horses have to have a certain score to make it to Landsmot, and it's very difficult.
Yes, it's top of the craft for sure. And
Yes.
that happens every other year they have that competition?
Yes, every other year now. It used to be every 4 years when I lived in Iceland.
Right. And the worlds, how is Landsmot different than the world competition?
The world competition is sport, and Landsmot is Gæðingakeppni, and they also have told competition, which is sport. Gæðingakeppni tends to be much faster. It's on a bigger track, on a 300-meter track instead of 250, and then the pace is shown on a straight track.
Right.
So it's a lot more exciting and faster.
Okay. So Sigrun's a very accomplished rider and also a trainer. And she now lives in the United States in Vermont. And she helps people like myself find the perfect Icelandic horse and bring them back to the United States. So take me back to the beginning. Take me back to your childhood, how you grew up, how you got into horses. How did that all start?
I was born with it. I don't remember life without thinking about horses. And when I was about 2, there are my first memories, 2 and 3 years old. My dad and my mom and dad were not into horses at all, had no horses. He would take me on drives on Sunday mornings to find horses and to show me horses. And he also had some friends that had horses. And so I would be able to go, and I remember riding this white horse around the barn when I was about 3 years old. My dad's friend threw me on the horse, and I would ride around while they talked. And so then when I was 6, I was able to go into riding school program. It's not like a typical riding school here. It's more that the kids get to ride horses. And I was in that every summer. And then I started getting in trouble because I would take my bike and I would bike out to find horses and ride them. And the owners didn't like that very much.
Oh, wow.
And then my parents decided maybe it's time she has her own horse before she becomes a juvenile defendant. And so at 10, I was able to get a horse. It was an untrained 4-year-old. And my parents knew nothing. So they thought I could just, go ride it. And so I was trying to ride the untrained horse, and it would go more backwards and forwards, and poor horse didn't know anything. So they sent me to a trainer. So that was the beginning of everything. He was like Matthew Brun. He was like a second dad to me, and I loved him dearly. Yeah. And he had about 200 horses on shoes in the summer and about 100 in the winter. And by the time I was 14, I had ridden over 1,000 horses.
Wow.
There's no better teacher. There's
Yeah.
no better teacher than these horses.
Yeah. Right.
So he gave me a huge opportunity. And then from 12 and on, every weekend was competing and everything was about that.
Right. That's amazing. So then you moved to the United
So
States at some point.
Yeah, so then I decided I needed an education, and I went to law school, and I went to undergrad in California, Malibu actually, and I still did horses and competitions and everything on the West Coast. And then I went to law school in Boston, and in 05, I was done, and then I moved up here in 06, and I've been here since. And I don't do any law. I just do horses.
Right. I guess that's your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you help people like myself find the perfect horse. So let's talk about that process a little bit. So I reached out to you. So when you have a client that reaches out to you, what's the first step you take with them?
So the first step I do is, thankfully, I knew you guys a little bit. I knew how you rode and everything, but sometimes I don't know the people, and I don't know anything about them, no history or anything. And often I ask for a video then, so I can see how they ride, and then they tell me, and we talk a lot, and they tell me about, their history and what has happened. And some have had some severe accidents and they're extremely nervous. And, everybody is different. Some people have they're very stressed as a person. Others are very laid back. So you have to make sure you find the horse that fits a personality. Right. And then also that the horse fits the job that they're about to do. For example, I had a lady in California. She wanted a horse that she could ride down the street. And they had a lot of those things that clip trees, like really loud and, like crazy. There was all kinds of leaf blowers and all kinds of stuff. And I told my, team in Iceland, I said, we got to make sure this horse can handle that. And they were like, where am I going to find tree cutters? They're in Iceland. I was like, find it. And so they found it. And, we made sure that the horse could handle that. So each situation is different. Everybody has a different thing. That another lady down in Virginia, she had a crazy neighbor that shot up like crazy 4th of July, fireworks. And I had my team go there like, you want us to shoot up fireworks? I said, no, just find a YouTube video. So we took like 5 or 6 iPads with fireworks to make sure. So you have to not only adjust the horse to the person, you have to adjust the horse to the situation they're going to be in. Right. Because everything is different. Other people have, need very strong horses because they're up in Montana or Colorado and they're climbing a lot of hills. Thankfully, Icelandics are very strong. Other people ride on the beach and in the ocean. And so everything is, you have to not just adjust it to that. And then some people, I had one lady in Florida that only wanted to walk. That's it. She did not want to do anything else. So I had to find a horse that was happy about walking all the time. Right. And that was not easy.
Right. Icelandics like to go.
Yeah.
Some of them. So, all right. So you said you have a team in Iceland. So explain how that works, really. How many farms do you work with? And
so we look everywhere. So I have my childhood friends that I trust with my life and my kids' life. And that's a lot to say that. And I trust them to know better. So they are in different parts of Iceland. So we look everywhere. And also people know that this is a type, I've been doing this for since 95. So 27 years. So people know exactly what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for a sane, rational, brave horse that can handle different situations. Right. And so then what happens usually is I get videos, and I would say out of 100, I pick one horse.
Oh, really?
And then it's really, I'm very strict. People get very annoyed with me. And So I pick the one horse, and what happens often is I ask for extra videos of him doing this or that or the other. And then if he passes that and I think, okay, it's a good horse, I send one of my friends, depending on the area the horse is in. I have a very good friend in Hafnarfjörður. I have one in Borgarnes. I have one on the east. I have one in Akureyri. And they know exactly what I want.
Right.
Send them with a list of 100 things I want them to do. So people think they're crazy when they show up, but this is how I want it done.
Right.
And if the horse doesn't pass some of these tests, we don't buy it, and I have to pay them. So there's many, many times that I don't buy the horse, but I still pay for it.
Yeah.
And so that is, that's the hard part, but I really need to be very strict.
Yeah. And that's why someone like myself, who doesn't really know anything, and I had already owned 2 mares, but I couldn't look at a video and know if that's a good horse or not a good horse. So I'm putting complete trust in you to buy a horse sight unseen. But this is what you do. And there's no way that I could purchase a horse and get the quality that I got without that expertise behind it. So yeah, and they're doing great too. So I have 2 geldings that I got in 2020 that I love. Temperament. I feel like temperament was always like first on your agenda.
Temperament and tolerance, and your horses are a little bit more horse than I normally buy because you're way more, experienced and want that horse that will jump and will run, and most people don't want that.
Yes.
So, but your boys are very rational and very level-headed. And so that's what I look for. And, I had a lady that called me about 3 weeks ago in tears because she had gone to Iceland and she had gone on a trek, and then she had fell in love with a horse, and she was thinking she was purchasing the horse, and she had sent this person $21,000. And turned out it wasn't the person she was buying the horse. So she was scammed of 21.
Oh no.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that out there that you have to be careful, and, not to have that connection in America is unsafe.
Yes. Yes. So let's talk about the price. What range do Icelandic horses typically run in?
So they have gone up because shipping went up 10% on the last shipment. So, but if you don't have a $19,000 budget, it's an import is not for you.
Right.
So 19 and up. And I would say at this point, I tend to pick horses with higher quality gaits too. So I would say 20 to 23,000 for the
kind of your average.
I would say about average is about 20, 21, and then it's not uncommon that they're 23 to 25, depending on the gate, how good gates are.
And now that includes the shipping.
That includes the shipping and a month with me here to acclimate, which I think is really important because the first month here, they're very confused, and they don't show their true character in the beginning because they're nervous. Even for the calmest horses, they are nervous. And it includes hoof trim, teeth rasping, and the first shots. And I mean, say nervous, they're not acting up or anything, but you have to be careful that they don't develop an ulcer. And that a lot in Icelandics because they're very hardy and they don't necessarily show you their weakness.
Yes. Okay. So after you find the perfect horse for your client, you negotiate a price, then you arrange for shipping. Now you like to cluster. You do 2 shipments a year still?
We do. Usually we were up to 3. Iceland has been a little bit difficult this year with the shipment. And I think it has to do with, they're trying to make the best of the fuel prices and trying to get more horses on. And, it's just a little different this year.
Right.
So
and now
expecting a shipment in March. We will cross.
Exciting. So now do they have to quarantine or what's the process with that?
Yeah, they have to quarantine for 2 days, only 2 days, and they do
Okay.
blood tests, and there's nothing that they're ever gonna find because Iceland has no diseases.
Right. So
And
once they leave Iceland, they can't go back. So why is that?
we just want to keep there can't be any diseases. We have herds and herds of thousands of horses that have never been vaccinated, that have never been exposed to anything, and it will be devastating. We could lose half of our herds or half of our horses if we
Yeah.
get any disease in.
Right. And the breeding is so true. There.
It's yeah, and it's just it would just ruin a lot if
Yeah.
we did that.
Yeah. That's amazing. So now once they arrive to JFK, do they come in an airplane specifically for horses, or are they?
So they come in containers. So basically these containers are made like small barns, and there are 4 horses in a container. So it's like being in a tie stall,
Uh-huh.
but have like hay, and they have,
Nice.
and there's always someone that's with them.
Uh-huh.
So there's someone in the cargo area that
Okay.
makes sure, and they usually do really well.
Right.
They
Okay.
have to be drugged, or they don't need anything.
Great. So then you go down to JFK and you pick them up?
No, I have a guy that does that. I often get in 15 horses at a time
Okay.
and have a huge trailer. So
Right.
usually Michael Bateman goes down with his huge truck and brings them back for me.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So then you get them, you Americanize them. I remember with my geldings, I thought it was funny. They didn't like not hairspray, fly spray.
Oh no, they don't like spray or the hose.
Yeah, the hose. I thought that was
Yeah,
very interesting because they just don't have that in Iceland.
no, no. And you don't need to fly spray. There's,
Yeah, right. So are there any things you have to look for that might develop once they come into America that doesn't happen in Iceland?
Yeah, so the only thing that, and they are actually working on a vaccine for it, it's called summer eczema, but other breeds have it too. I know some gypsy manners that have it. I know some other horses in America that have it. And it's, an eczema usually on the midline or around the face. They rub their mane. But what I tell people is if you take them in at dusk and dawn, and you're vigilant about the fly spray, often what happens, they slowly develop immunity to it if they're not bombarded with it. And it's the no-see-ums, the little biting no-see-ums that do it. So if you make sure they're out in a barn with a fan, or in a barn when the no-see-ums are the worst at dusk and dawn, over the years they can develop immunity to it.
Yeah.
And they have blankets too, the Boet blankets, and we
Yes.
use quite a bit. And they actually look very pretty if you use those because they don't get bleached by the sun, or their
Yes.
hair is nice.
Yes, they are very pretty horses. So
Yeah.
now there are some really great stallions in the US. Do you ever find horses that were bred in the US, or do you always look to Iceland?
So the problem with the horses bred in the US is the lack of training and lack of experience and lack of there are horses. I'm not going to say there are not, but I don't find them very often. And in Iceland, you get horses that have years and years of experience. They have highland tracks. They have, they grew up in the mountains. They are savvy. They're smart.
Right. Yes.
I bred horses here in America, and they're not as smart as the ones that grow.
That's funny. That's nice. So what is your favorite thing about the Icelandic breed? I mean, what makes them so special from other horse breeds?
For me, it's the gaits and the speed of the gaits. And there's nothing, I was thinking about it yesterday when I was riding one of my horses and I was flying down the road. I was like, it doesn't get better than this. That's for me.
Yes.
For other people, and the spirit and they're like, they have this really beautiful spirit, this, pride.
Yeah.
And so that's for me. For other people, they're very healthy. They're very healthy. They're hardy.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean we throw them out and don't take care of them, but they are hardy. They don't need to be blanketed all the time or wrap their legs or, all that stuff. They're brave, and especially the ones that grew up in Iceland. They're smart because they were in groups and groups of horses where they had to be smart. They were in hundreds of horses where they had to use their social skills or, be smart.
Right.
They're rational.
Yes.
They're not silly. They're
Yeah.
rational, and they're very friendly. They're like a
Yes.
Labrador retriever.
Yes,
They're
they
like all,
absolutely are.
so there's so many good qualities, and the gaits, of course, are phenomenal. They're just smooth, and it's just fun to ride.
Right. So why do the Icelandic call them horses and not ponies when they are typically 13 to 14 hands or so? So they're kind of pony size, but tell me about that.
So there's a few reasons. One is that there's the only horse in Iceland. So, we call them horses. Another reason is they're built like a draft. They're built very strong. They have this undercarriage. They can carry 260, 280 pounds,
Right. Yeah.
I've seen 350-pound guys ride cross country on them.
Wow.
People freak out over it, but this is what they were bred to do.
Yeah.
They were, bred to carry people of all sizes across country. And their legs and joints and their backs are strong, and their top line is strong, and and their hind end is strong. They're just a very solid built animal.
Yes, that's great. So here in the US, we have the Northeast Icelandic Horse Club, which is probably how we know each other, because I feel like everyone who has Icelandics tend to know each other in some way or another. So that's one of the things I also love about the breed is the connection, the community connection there.
Absolutely.
Is nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I asked you everything I was going to ask you. Was there anything else you want to say about the Icelandic horses or the process or what you do now?
Just that, when people buy horse from me, they have service for life. They can ask questions. I will hold their hand. A lot of people are nervous about it, nervous about the process. I'm there for them. They're not going to buy a horse and then I'm going to block their number. You can text me,
yes,
email me, stand behind my horses, and that's really, it's a little bit hard in this country because people are used to horse traders or someone that is not honest. Honesty is my number one. I'm always going to be honest with you. And that means I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes it might hurt that I'm honest with you, but I have to be honest with you because I've told people that they can't buy a horse yet, or, that they need to learn more, or, and they haven't always taken it well, but I am looking out for the horse and I'm also looking out for the person.
Yes.
So it has to be that the process is safe for everyone.
Yes. And I appreciate that because as a consumer and as a client of yours, just calling you up and taking, putting everything into your expertise of, I'm just looking at videos and I'm purchasing a horse that I've never sat on or met in person. There's a lot of trust that needs to go into that. So, but I felt totally comfortable.
Yeah, thank you. And that's what I told people. I am in this for the long haul. I'm not in it for one sale like horse traders.
Right.
And I love the horses.
Right.
And it's the love of I could be a lawyer in an office somewhere, but I don't want to. I love doing this and, seeing the horse happy and the people happy, and that is the goal.
Yes. So have you had any experiences where the client wasn't happy with the horse or that you had to take back, or how does that work?
So I had only twice in hundreds of horses where people had not been completely, and it was a few years ago, and that's when I started asking for videos. They weren't completely honest about their experience. So, and in one case, I sold the husband and wife a horse. I've sold the wife a bomb-proof, dead calm horse, but the husband didn't want to lazy. He didn't want, boring. He wanted something exciting, and he said he could handle it. And I took his word for it, and I didn't sell even. It was kind of like a go away, It wasn't like a crazy horse or anything, but he goes. And that was too much. And then the man got upset. And I said, listen, you needed a horse like your wife, and you didn't want to hear it. Right. And since then, I've been very strict with that. And I resold the horse. Horse is happy now. Everything is good.
Good.
The man isn't happy because, he thought he could take a horse and gallop across a field when you know nothing. Right. And so now I'm very careful about asking for videos. If someone is asking for more than really that calm, I want to see how you can handle that. Yes. So otherwise, it's gone really, really smoothly. There are some things like, you have clients and I give them a list of things, and then accidentally the horse gets into alfalfa or gets, much protein, and then all of a sudden he's being a nut job for a week. And then I tell them, okay, take him off it, launch it. They do, and then they're back to normal. There are things like that. Or, like shoeing advice, shoe them a little different, do this. Right. Training advice, it's not like buying a car and you can just drive it. Right. There are certain things I've done, talk to trainers that they work with and everything. So I'm really involved with every step of it. Yes. Yeah, that's great. So Sigrun, tell the people out there how they can find you. So you can find us on Facebook, Solheimar, SOLHEIMAR farm. And then we have a website that I haven't updated in years. I'm sorry. But you can read my bio there. That's usicelandics.com. Yeah. And then, you can see there's my phone number on the website and everything. And I'm really good about texts, and I'm really good about messages. Yes, I'm not good about answering the phone. I don't think any of us are. I don't get really good service when I'm in the barn, so I can get text, but it's really hard to talk on the phone. Yes. Okay. And I'll put all that in the copy as well. And then usually what I do is we schedule a set time where we can talk on the phone when it's quiet, and then we can hash out all the details. I've even had what do you call it? Messenger, where you have video and I walk around the farm and show people the farm and the horses. Make it real, Yes. So they're not just talking to some person, they don't have any visual. Yes. So walk around, show the farm, show the indoor, show what we do, and people get really at ease with that. Yeah. Well, that's so great. And thank you for coming on and talking to me. I post a lot on TikTok about my boys that I have, and I get lots of questions about them. So I'm happy that you were able to come on with me and chat about bringing them into the United States. Some people didn't even think that was possible. So yeah, it's great to know the process. Thanks for having me. Yes. And great seeing you. And you too. See you again soon. All right. Thank you.